Well, good morning, everybody, and it's good to see not so old, but a good friend here. And Prime Minister, it's welcome to the White House. And we last saw each other at the launch of the Indo-Pacific framework, which is, I think, a fairly big deal for all of us. And we need your guidance. And you know, it's a pleasure to see you in person. You understand that your leadership has taken on a critical role in this global stage. It really has. Galvanizing action on climate change, the global effort to prevent violence, extremism, and online, like happened at Christchurch, call, and you know, and we want to be. I want to work with you on that effort. I want to talk to you about what those conversations are like going. The United States is, you know, it's just there's an expression by an Irish poet says, "Too long a suffering makes a stone of the heart." Well, there's an awful lot of suffering. We've been, I've been to more mass shooting aftermaths than I think any president in American history, unfortunately. And it's just so much of it is preventable, and the devastation is amazing. Yesterday, not the day before, I was down in Texas, and people sat in the room, about 250 of them in a large room with me for almost 4 hours. Nobody left. They wanted to air until I spoke to every single person in that room. Every single person. They waited to the very end. And the pain is palpable. And you've been one of our closest partners with a long history and friendship. 80 years ago, Marines landed in New Zealand before embarking into the Pacific Theater in World War II. And I think I told you when I met two of my mother's brothers were in the Pacific. They used to be able to deploy at the same time in those days, World War II. And one was shot down in New Guinea, and they never found the body. But it's, you know, it's the history goes back a long way. And I want to, by the way, recognize New Zealand's significant support for Ukraine, as a lot of Indo-Pacific countries are doing now, and because this is more than just a regional war going on. So I look forward to our conversations today. We have a lot to talk about, and I'm really, really delighted to have you here. Really.
And can I say, Mr. President, thank you so much for this
opportunity.
Thank you. And we really welcome this opportunity. As you said, we've spoken on several occasions, and what stood out to me on both those occasions were we traversed such similar issues, and not least, of course, our shared history. You speak of your uncle's service in the Pacific. My grandfather served in the Pacific, and I think that speaks to the personal connection, but also the depth of our friendship and relationship as two countries. We are in an incredibly difficult international environment, but also domestically it is extraordinarily challenging as well. And can I bring the sincere condolences of the people of Aotearoa, New Zealand, for what you have experienced in Texas and in New York, and it's been devastating to see the impact on those communities. Our experience, of course, in this regard is our own, but if there is anything that we can share that would be of any value, we are here to share it.
Well, the work you're doing with the tech companies is really important, and we'll work with you there as well.
And I absolutely look forward to updating you on some of the conversations we've had this week, because I hold hope that we can make progress. I also wanted just to acknowledge your leadership in bringing to the table the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. And whilst, of course, we are significant advocates for the CPTPP, the IPEF presents a significant opportunity to build the economic resilience of our region. So I look forward to having a bit of a discussion about that opportunity as well. I also want to acknowledge your significant leadership on Ukraine and how important that has been, not only to us as we've looked to play a role as well, but globally as we look to make sure that we strengthen the international response to what is a threat to our values and of course the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine. I do want to finish on a note of optimism. Climate change also is one of the greatest threats that we face, and I believe that in you, not only we've seen the leadership but the opportunity that exists between our nations to work together on this incredibly difficult issue that will only be resolved if we work together. So thank you. As you've said, we've got a lot to discuss.
There's a lot to do, and I want to emphasize the last point you made, working together.
Absolutely.
We are not coming to dictate or lay down the law.
Yeah.
We have more work to do
We
on
see
those
that.
Pacific Islands as well. I mean, and so we talked at length about, in the past, about my trip to Japan,
Yeah.
and Korea, and dealing with the Quad. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity
Yeah, I agree.
to make the world safer and deal with the environment.
I agree. So thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.